Everybody, it's Wednesday, it's hump day. It's October 26th, 2022. You're probably busy. I'm busy. So let's not make this like a half-hour long video. Let's make this video under 10 minutes, even though we're going to go over three sports. We're going to talk about hockey, and then we're going to do a little more detail on basketball and some additions I've made to the basketball season, like toggling team stats and making different predictions. It's going to be fun. And I have NFL open, and I don't know why. There's no game. There are no games today. Maybe we'll talk about Thursday, so I don't have to do Tampa Bay is playing. Yeah, I'll take the Ravens. I'll take the Ravens. I'll take Lamar Jackson. Actually, I don't care. What's the line on that? We're done with football after I say this. Baltimore is minus 118. This is yeah. I'll still take Baltimore. I've had it with Tampa Bay. I think we can all agree we've had it with Tampa Bay. So they'll probably win. Brady will ruin Thursday for everyone, but that's Thursday, so let's not even talk about that. Let's talk about hockey. So today there are three games. Yesterday, the numbers for the results were bad. It was like 2-8, but it didn't feel that bad because there were things I said to play that were underdogs, like Chicago, and they won. I had them. And Colorado won. I had them. Stayed away from Columbus because Arizona does beat them and win a game. Told you how the strength means something. If anybody watched the hockey videos, a long video yesterday. But Montreal losing stunk, and that was and Dallas losing too. Although that game wasn't under at the top, it wasn't that bad of a predicted day, even though it said 2-8. Some of those were super close games where it told you to take the underdog. Now, how about today? Well, you got only three games on the schedule. Tampa Bay, #1 pick over Anaheim. Totally believable. Anaheim also not looking like a very good team this season for some reason, even though they've got some young talent. So that's a reasonable line for Tampa Bay to win. Katrina loves Tampa Bay, so she will absolutely, I'm sure, be taking Tampa Bay if she gets a bet in today on that. The next pick is St. Louis, which gets a really great goalie rating for Stanley Cup champion Jordan Binnington, who also gave Colorado a real run in the playoffs last year until Nazem Kadri ran him. Kadri is a really good player and a really dirty player, and I would not like to play against Kadri. Anyway, so it does give this game to St. Louis. No, it doesn't. It says by pick rank. So here's what's going on. And this is a good thing to browse on, and then we'll finish this up and get over to NBA, which is even though the power strength's favoring Edmonton and the score, it's saying pick St. Louis. And it's why is that? And it's because they are on a great streak. Weird. And they have a really good goaltender. And there's a couple extra factors in here that I have hidden that are part of that calculation. That's the goal. It's saying that Binnington is so good that they actually probably win this game like 2-1 or something. That's probably how they do it. If they do. So I want to talk about why this stuff disagrees. And apparently the pick rank is better. That's what was deceiving about yesterday is some of these games looked like we lost, but the pick rank said take them. And they won. Like Chicago said take them yesterday as well, and I did. Said take Calgary instead of taking Pittsburgh, I believe, or it was like really, really close. Buffalo lost, by the way. #1 pick of the day lost yesterday. But it's hockey. Hockey's really, 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 really tough. And in the Ranger Islander game, it's saying bet the draw. Halak versus Sorokin. Says you can get a 4-4 tie out of them somehow. In both scenarios. So that's what's supposed to happen there. All right, that's hockey. What about basketball? So, first of all, yesterday's current results were 1-3, but not really, because said take Oklahoma City plus the 9, and I took them also to win because this margin was so low, and they did win. So this is not a bad pick. Dallas was the big loser, basically. So Dallas is a game over 5% margin, even though it's not a 10% margin game. It's only 7 in this version. Dallas loses, I believe, in both versions. And so I wonder if this works if we do this. So there's this new thing up here at the top, basically. I programmed something in that allows you to simulate the stuff based on last season or current season stats. And I don't think this changes for yesterday's games, but it does for today's games. And so I'll show that in a second. But basically, Golden State loses the toss-up game to Phoenix, and Phoenix was favored in last year's version or whatever yesterday. So I'm okay with the current season version being used. So let's talk about that today. All right. So in today's version, I'm showing you last year's stats, and that is noted by how many number of games played are showing here. And the way I did this is I pasted two different sets of stats here in the team stat sheet. So if you're updating this thing at home and you're doing it, all you need to do is grab the current season exports and put them right here. You know, put the advanced one or basic one right here and the advanced or basic one right here, whichever one is which, you'll figure it out. Put that here and here, and you don't have to mess with anything else. The formulas are figuring out which thing you pressed right here, last or current. So let's talk about last, because I think it's the not as good one as the current. And the last one looks, it doesn't look exactly like the odds makers. But things of note is it has the Miami Heat as an underdog up here at a 31% margin, even money. So that's something that last year's version clearly says, but Portland has been playing better this year. So we'll see what the current one says in a second. The rest of these are bad odds, bad odds, bad odds. Now you're in toss-up range. And the Minnesota San Antonio game's in toss-up range. I believe that San Antonio has been playing better, according to my anecdotal evidence. So this is so basically based on last year, you're thinking about San Antonio plus 8.5. And there's a Charlotte at plus 270 down here in toss-up range. That's also a really good line. But let's look at current season stats. Click current here, and then you have to refresh your pivot table. So you right-click inside and you press refresh. Voila. Now, these are the number of games played for the team. Okay, see how Milwaukee's only played 2 games, Brooklyn's played 3 games. So now all of a sudden we see where we have more team stats and less team stats, and we've got a different order. And we have different margins. So the first thing I want to know is are the Miami Heat still up here? And they are not. They are now on the other side of this equation, everybody. Wow. So there's a drastic difference where if you believe that these teams with both 4 games played, that there's a better idea of this game. You can see how this completely flips from one season to the other. That's something. So this is why I really want to go with current season stats, because I don't want to have these two fight it out. I think current is just going to be better. So that's really interesting. Next, this season, Milwaukee beats Brooklyn way up here at a 23% margin at a reasonable minus 164. Utah over Houston that's injured a little bit. There's a lot of injuries in the Denver and Laker game, which makes, and the margin's super low. So this is another one. Look at how the margin drop off occurs on these games, because I'm just using the current version. I don't want to mess with last year anymore. That's why I built this code, is I wanted to make it easy and consolidate everything in one file. So let's see, what are the actual picks with this? I mean, I did something else and I forgot to open it up before I started this video. But it's a straight bet calculator. And I wanted to see if we can keep track of all the straight bets, because there are things I would tell you to do on a round robin or a parlay, but then different things I would tell you to do just making a straight bet. And so when you see this down here, like Charlotte plus 8.5 is the round robin parlay pick, and Charlotte to win is the straight bet pick, in my opinion. You know, because they're favored in both versions and they're at plus 270. Then on the other side of this, San Antonio at plus whatever they are, which is also probably like 270. Let's open it up. San Antonio here, you know, negative 1% margin. They are a little injured, so we should probably look through the injury report, but I'm just exhausted with sports and I don't really care all that much. Maybe I get it wrong. Maybe I get it wrong, but you can dig through the injury report and see exactly whether or not these injuries are real or not. It helped yesterday for sure. I can't lie about that. Like, it helped yesterday understanding that Oklahoma City's injuries were not as profound as whoever they were playing and beat yesterday. So the point is that you can see that San Antonio's at plus 310. That's a straight bet because current, yeah, I think we're right. It's a straight bet because this margin is so low, incredibly low, and the plus 8.5 is your round robin parlay pick, right? So I'll break those out and I'll eventually start dumping these into a straight bet sheet to show you how we do every day with what I tell you to play. Um, because I should be able to give you a proper assessment of what the board says, especially now that we really have comparative stuff. Like you don't play this Miami and Portland game because the two files disagreed. And Portland's off to a great start, which eventually they'll probably lose a game, just like the Jazz lost a game. So that's why this is much more difficult when you see it on both versions. Cleveland's a bad line here. I usually don't do anything in these games where the team's favored. They're supposed to win. They have a good margin, but the line is worse than 200 something. I probably just let it go, or I'll throw all of them on one parlay just to see if you hit all of them. But it just doesn't pay anything. So you don't want to put your money to work on something that doesn't pay anything. Like Utah's minus 215. I might put them on a big parlay or something to win, but I'm not taking minus 5.5. Don't mess with that stuff. Atlanta, similar thing. The margins there, minus 255 is pretty bad, but if you throw it together. But the Denver situation, this is a weird game with too many injuries. But the Lakers are plus some big line. So how bad are the Lakers injuries? Let's look. Actually, do you want to look? Because that game, you can get a big line if some of those Lakers guys are playing. They're right here. There's 3 game time decisions with a back, a foot, and a hamstring. Hamstring goes. Oh, Westbrook's going to get traded, though. That's what's going on here. They're trying to trade him. Yeah, there's a lot of drama going on here. And that makes that game even more difficult to see what's going to happen there because there's clearly, until I think my rumblings or whatever that I've heard is that Westbrook's trying to get traded for whatever reason. And who knows when that'll happen, but there's a lot of team nonsense going on in LA, I think, right now until that happens. That's my guess. So I'm staying away from that. But this Hornets keeps popping up here in both versions, right? If you look at the last season version, the Hornets game, which has a 2.5% margin in this version, has a 4.2% version there. Oh, but what are their injuries? So let's look at their injuries. But we're still probably going to play them. Charlotte has out game 2 game time decisions with a quad and ankle. So these people might play, even though LaMelo Ball's out. It's really Rozier. Is Rozier going to play or not? If if he's in, then you can take Charlotte in that definitely in the plus situation and probably to win if he plays, right? That's what it says happens basically in that game. So I've been choppy about what do you actually take in this sheet here. And which version you're in by the number of games played over here. It changes to 82 if it's last season's. So in this version, I'm gonna take San Jose plus 8.5. I'm not doing anything down here in this Raptors Sixers game because it doesn't know and the line's not good either way. I'm scared of taking Indiana plus 7.5 down here, but you're supposed to. Because this is a no margin game and that's 7.5 points. I don't want to do that, but algorithm says to do that, and I want to be consistent. Whenever you see awful lines down here, you're taking and you get more than a handful of points. I'd say anything more than 7. You're supposed to take that. And that means also on the round robin, it's Charlotte plus 8.5, not Charlotte to win. But the straight bets are Charlotte to win, San Antonio to win. You could even say Indiana to win, but the line's not as good as San Antonio. See, the line will be not quite as good. It'll probably be like plus 200 or something. But San Antonio to win straight bet, Charlotte to win straight bet. And then you could play Portland if you want to, and you believe in current season stats. The line's not that bad. If you really want to root for and watch that game, you could just double check Portland's injuries real quick, see who that is. The person, whoever they are, it's Justice Winslow. Justice Winslow, 25% player. And ankle game time. So probably not much on the injury front there. So if you believe in this season's version, then yes, they are better than Miami and will win that game at home, I guess. So yeah, I'll stop talking as the video is going on and on and on. But But yeah, NBA is getting really interesting. So go purchase copies and subscribe. You can get the emails before I do videos and the days I don't do videos. And then there's no emails going out after October 31st on a daily basis. You'll have to buy a 1-day copy if you want one. So I suggest you learn how to update this with Roto in conjunction with a RotoWire subscription to get the stats so that you can update this, and you'll be able to not have to wait on me and get this stuff done. But this is the basic analysis, and there is a nice comparison of this and last year's stats, which I think will be important. So, all right, guys, that's Wednesday preview of hockey and of basketball, of hockey here. Where the number one pick of the day is Tampa Bay at -143. That makes sense. Katrina's going to play that for sure. And then NFL is just a mess. It's just doing crazy things. That's what it's doing. It's tough to predict. So, all right, good luck, everybody. May all your picks be winning.